Welcome back, deep divers. Ready to go deep?
Always.
Awesome. Today we're diving into Ruin Cosmic Yolkulusu.
The soul's cosmic journey.
Right. For those of us who haven't quite mastered Turkish yet,
Right.
this book tackles some really big questions about our place in the universe.
It really does.
It's written by Kenan Kolday.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you're already familiar with spirituality and philosophy, I think you'll be surprised by the fresh perspective and the fascinating connections that he makes.
You know what I think is really interesting about this book? It's not just some dry philosophical treatise.
Right.
It's deeply personal.
Oh, yeah?
Kenan, he weaves his own life experiences and insights into these profound concepts.
Definitely.
It makes them feel really relatable and relevant to our everyday lives.
Right. It's not like he's talking down to us from some mountaintop.
Yeah.
He's more like a friend sharing his own journey of discovery.
I think so, too.
Which I think makes it even more compelling.
And what a journey it is. So he actually starts out as an engineer and manager, which is a world away from spirituality and mysticism.
Yeah.
But then something happens that completely changes his trajectory.
Okay.
This powerful urge to explore the bigger questions about life, the universe, and everything.
It's like he gets hit with this cosmic lightning bolt.
Yes.
This intense wake-up call that throws him out of bed at 3 a.m. and sets him on this quest for answers.
It is.
I think we've all had those moments in the middle of the night where we're suddenly wide awake staring at the ceiling and wondering, what's it all about?
Exactly, that feeling of being jolted awake by some unknown force.
Right.
Like something is trying to get your attention.
Yes.
It's so relatable.
It is.
And for Kenan, that wake-up call leads him to a rather unexpected guide. Hermes Trismegistus.
Okay, I have to admit, when I first read about Hermes, I was like, wait, who? He's not your typical spiritual guru, is he?
Not at all. Hermes Trismegistus, or Hermes the Thrice Great, as he's known,
Okay.
in ancient Hermetic traditions is a legendary figure shrouded in mystery and symbolism. And Kenan describes him as this fascinating mix of old and young, a 70-year-old body with a youthful, almost timeless face.
So it's like this wise old sage, but with this youthful energy and vibrancy. Talk about an attention-grabbing image.
Right.
Yeah.
And Hermes is not just some random character that Kenan dreamed up.
Yeah.
He represents ancient wisdom, a link to a lineage of knowledge stretching back centuries.
It's like he's tapping into this universal well of wisdom that's been passed down through generations.
Right.
And what's really cool is that Kenan's journey with Hermes isn't just about these far-out spiritual concepts. It's about self-discovery.
Yes.
It's about looking inward and confronting our own shadow selves.
Absolutely.
Like those parts of ourselves that we might be hiding from.
Our fears, our insecurities, our negative patterns.
Yeah.
It's not always comfortable, but it's essential for growth.
It's like going down the rabbit hole in Alice in Wonderland, right?
Yeah.
You never know what you're going to find down there, but it's always an adventure. And speaking of adventures, Kenan takes us on a journey through the pyramids,
He does.
which he sees as much more than just giant tombs.
Right.
So he explains how the pyramids, particularly the Sphinx, are loaded with symbolism and represent stages of spiritual growth and understanding.
Like each level of the pyramid corresponds to a different level of consciousness.
Okay, now that's where it starts to get really interesting for me.
Yeah.
I love how he connects these ancient structures and symbols
Right.
to this larger journey of spiritual evolution.
Yes.
It's like he's saying that these ancient civilizations were tapping into something profound, something that's still relevant to us today.
Absolutely. And it's not just about Egyptian mythology.
Yeah.
He ties in the Book of the Dead,
Okay.
yoga, even the Ten Commandments.
Like the Ten Commandments, what do those have to do with Egyptian pyramids?
Well, his point is that these seemingly disparate traditions, from ancient Egypt to Eastern spirituality to Western religion, are all grappling with the same universal human questions. Questions about purpose, morality, and our connection to something larger than ourselves.
Yeah. It's like they're all different paths leading up the same mountain, right?
That's a good way to put it.
Different ways of accessing the same truth. And speaking of big questions, Kenan also explores the concept of reincarnation.
He does.
And he doesn't present it as some new age belief,
Right.
but as an idea that's been around for centuries, appearing in various spiritual traditions throughout history.
It's a recurring theme.
It is. And I find it fascinating that he even connects reincarnation to Modern ideas about the multiverse, the possibility of parallel universes and souls experiencing multiple lifetimes.
It's a mind-bending concept, right?
It is. It
Yeah.
makes you wonder if maybe our understanding of reality is far more expansive than we typically think.
Yeah, it might be.
And to help us grasp these complex ideas, Kenan introduces this really cool visualization, the clock of spiritual evolution.
Oh, yes.
He breaks down spiritual growth into 12 stages, each corresponding to an hour on the clock.
Right. And you know what really struck me was his description of hour 4. Oh.
The fall of angels.
Oh, really?
It's this idea that even beings with incredible potential can experience a sense of lost purpose or disillusionment.
Hold on. Even angels can feel lost. That's a pretty powerful image.
Right. It makes you realize that feeling lost or directionless is a universal human experience. No matter how much potential you have, think about those times when you've felt completely lost, like you've taken a wrong turn and you don't know how to get back on track.
Yeah.
Maybe that's your own fall of angels moment, a necessary part of your journey.
Wow, that's a really insightful way to look at it.
Yeah.
Like those times of feeling lost and confused are actually opportunities for growth and redirection. And then there's hour 7, midlife. Right.
Kenan describes it as a time of reevaluation, a time when we start questioning our priorities, searching for deeper meaning, and potentially shifting our focus.
Like we're hitting a cosmic midlife crisis.
You could say that.
And I think that's what makes this book so relatable.
I agree.
It speaks to where we are in our own lives and our own journeys.
Yes. Whether we're feeling lost, questioning our purpose, or searching for something more.
Right.
Kenan's Ruhun Cosmic Yokoludu offers this roadmap for navigating these universal human experiences.
Absolutely. And he doesn't just leave us with these abstract concepts and theories, but he emphasizes the importance of actually applying these ideas in our everyday lives.
So it's not just about reading the book and saying, oh, that's interesting.
Right.
It's about putting these principles into practice.
Exactly. He talks a lot about idep, adep, akhlaq.
Right.
Which basically translates to good manners, etiquette, and moral conduct.
Okay.
It's about grounding spirituality in how you treat others, in the way you move through the world.
So it's not just about meditating on a mountaintop.
No.
It's about bringing that mindfulness and awareness into our interactions with others, into our daily lives. It's about being a good human.
It is. And he uses this great analogy of the ayna, which means mirror in Turkish. He's basically saying, look at the mirror, folks. What do you see? Not just the surface, but the deeper stuff, the parts you might be hiding from.
It's like he's challenging us to be radically honest with ourselves about who we are.
Yes.
Both the good and the bad. And speaking of good and bad, he also talks about finding balance between our Somali and Salali aspects.
Right. He explains that Somali represents our good, positive aspects, our kindness, our compassion, our creativity.
Right.
And Salali represents our more challenging shadow side, our anger, our fear, our selfishness.
It's like the yin and yang of our personality, right?
Exactly.
The light and shadow that make us whole.
Yeah, and his point is that we need to embrace both sides of ourselves to find balance between our Somali and Salali aspects.
So it's not about denying or suppressing those challenging parts of ourselves,
Right.
but about integrating them into our whole being.
Exactly. It's about accepting all of who we are, the light and the shadow, and learning to use both for good.
It's like he's saying that true spiritual growth isn't about achieving some kind of perfect blissful state, but about learning to navigate the complexities of life with grace, wisdom, and compassion.
And that's just the beginning of Kenan's journey.
Okay.
In the next part of our deep dive, we'll explore how he takes these personal insights and expands them to address global and societal issues,
Okay.
challenging us to think about our role in creating a more just and compassionate world.
Okay, I'm already hooked. But before we move on, let's take a moment to reflect on what's resonated with you so far.
Yeah, what's standing out to you as we delve into this first part of Kenan's Ruhun Cosmic Yokoluzu?
What's swirling around in your mind right now?
Yeah.
I'm really struck by how Kenan manages to make these profound spiritual concepts so relatable. It's not just some esoteric philosophy floating out there in the ether.
Yeah.
He grounds it in his own personal experiences and challenges.
I agree.
Making it feel relevant to our everyday lives.
Absolutely. It's like he's saying, hey, I've been through some tough stuff.
Yeah.
I've wrestled with these big questions, and here's what I've learned.
Right.
That authenticity makes the message so much more powerful.
And it's not like he's offering easy answers or quick fixes.
Right.
He acknowledges that the journey of spiritual growth can be messy and challenging, full of ups and downs.
It can be.
In fact, he even talks about how humanity is going through a kind of collective growing pains phase right now.
Yes, he does.
What does he mean by that?
Well, he discusses this global shift in consciousness that's happening,
Okay.
where we're becoming more aware of our interconnectedness, but also facing some serious challenges as a species.
Yeah, he doesn't sugarcoat the reality of what's going on in the world.
No, he doesn't.
He talks about the alarming rise of mental health issues,
Yeah.
the exploitation of child labor, the devastating effects of climate change. It's a sobering reminder that progress isn't always linear,
It's not.
and that technological advancement doesn't necessarily equate to moral progress.
He's challenging us to confront these uncomfortable truths and ask ourselves, are we really living up to our potential as Homo sapiens, the knowing man?
Right, and he even quotes a Sufi saying,
Yes.
what distinguishes humans from animals is edep.
Yes.
He's emphasizing the importance of etiquette, good manners, and moral conduct as essential markers of a truly evolved human being.
It all goes back to EDUP.
You know, that really resonates with me.
Mm.
It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day grind
Yeah,
and forget about the bigger picture, our
absolutely.
responsibility to each other and to the planet.
Yeah.
It's like he's saying that true evolution isn't just about technological advancements or material possessions,
No.
but about our moral and spiritual development.
Exactly. And this is where his discussion of the clock of spiritual evolution becomes really relevant.
Right.
He argues that humanity is currently somewhere between the hours of 6 and 7 on this clock.
Ah, yes, hour 6.
Yes.
The period of questioning and seeking.
That definitely feels accurate, doesn't it?
It does.
It seems like so many of us are grappling with uncertainty,
Right.
trying to figure out what we believe in and what truly matters in life. It's
Yeah.
like we're collectively going through a midlife crisis on a global scale.
But here's the interesting thing.
What's that?
Kenan sees this crisis as a sign of progress.
He does.
He argues that it's a necessary stage in our evolution, a sign that we're waking up, questioning the status quo, and searching for something more meaningful than just material success and fleeting pleasures.
So it's like those times of feeling lost and confused are actually a sign that we're on the right track,
It seems so.
that we're evolving. But then hour 7 gets even more intense.
Oh.
Kenan describes it as a time of great trials and tribulations.
He doesn't sugarcoat it, does he? He's essentially saying that as we evolve, the challenges we face become more complex and demanding.
Yeah, he's not trying to discourage us.
Right.
It's more like a call to action.
I see.
A reminder that growth often comes through facing adversity.
So it's about embracing those challenges as opportunities for growth, not shrinking back from them.
Right. And this leads us to one of the most intriguing concepts in the book,
What's that?
the idea of the akit, the spiritual contract.
Okay, now this is where things get a little metaphysical. Kenan's suggesting that before we're even born, our souls choose the life path we're going to take, complete with all its joys and sorrows.
It's a bold claim, but one that's found in many spiritual traditions.
Really?
Yeah, he explains that this contract isn't some kind of rigid, predetermined script that dictates every detail of our lives.
So we're not just passive passengers in our own lives.
Yeah, we're not.
We're actually active participants in choosing the challenges and lessons we need to learn.
Exactly. He's shifting the focus from why is this happening to me to what am I meant to learn from this?
Wow.
It's a powerful shift in perspective that can empower us to take ownership of our lives. But what about our desires?
Yeah.
If our soul already knows what it needs to learn, then what's the point of setting goals or having dreams?
Right.
This is where the distinction between Keter and Kismet comes in.
Okay.
Kenan explains that Keter is our overall destiny, the big picture of our soul's journey. Kismet, on the other hand, refers to the specific events and circumstances that unfold within that larger framework.
Okay, so it's like a tapestry.
Yes.
Keter is the pattern, and Kismet is the individual threads that create the overall design.
That's a great analogy. And here's the thing. Kenan argues that the more we align our desires with our soul's purpose, the more smoothly and effortlessly our Kismet unfolds.
So it's not about denying our desires, but about aligning them with our soul's journey.
Exactly.
That makes sense. But how do we even begin to figure out what our kit or soul contract might be?
Kenan suggests that the clues are often right in front of us
Okay.
if we're willing to pay attention.
Okay.
He encourages us to look for recurring patterns in our lives, the lessons we keep encountering, the challenges that keep coming back in different forms. These, he argues, are often indicators of the themes our soul is working on.
It's like those recurring dreams or those relationship issues that keep popping up no matter how many times we try to avoid them.
Right.
Maybe they're not just random annoyances, but actually signposts pointing us towards our deeper purpose.
Exactly. And this brings us to another key point,
Okay,
the importance of self-reflection.
right. Remember that, Anna the mirror. Kenan's constantly reminding us to look in the mirror
He is.
and be honest with ourselves about who we are, both the light and the shadow.
He's encouraging us to confront our limiting beliefs, our fears, our negative patterns.
Okay.
Not to wallow in them, but to understand how they might be holding us back from fulfilling our potential.
And he actually gets pretty specific about this, doesn't he? He talks about how those deep-seated fears and limiting beliefs are often formed in our early childhood,
Yes, he does.
particularly between the ages of 0 and 7.
That's a crucial point. He's drawing on developmental psychology here,
Oh, okay.
explaining how our early experiences shape our perception of the world and ourselves. It's like we develop these subconscious programs that run in the background,
Yeah.
influencing our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors without us even realizing it.
That's a little freaky, isn't it?
Yeah.
To think that we're walking around with these hidden programs running the show.
It can be a bit unnerving, but the good news is that Kenan offers some practical tools and techniques
Okay.
for working through those limiting beliefs and rewriting those negative programs.
Yeah, he talks about cultivating the qualities of EDEP, ADAP, ALAC as a way to ground our spiritual practice in everyday life. Remember, those are good manners, etiquette, and moral conduct.
He emphasizes the need to find balance between our Somali and Salali aspects, embracing both our light and shadow sides. And of course, he stresses the power of self-reflection and honesty.
It's like he's saying that true spiritual growth isn't about achieving some kind of blissful detachment from the world,
No, it's not.
but about learning to navigate life's challenges with grace, wisdom, and compassion.
Exactly. And that's not always easy,
No, it's not.
especially in today's fast-paced, hyper-connected world.
Right.
We're bombarded with information distractions and pressures that can pull us away from our center.
Right. And one of the biggest obstacles to fulfilling our soul contract, according to Kenan, is the unhealthy ego.
Ah, yes, the ego, that tricky little character that can cause so much trouble.
He talks about how the ego, when left unchecked, can become obsessed with power, status, and material possessions,
Yes.
leading to greed, selfishness, and a sense of separation from others.
But he's not saying that the ego is inherently bad.
Right.
He explains that it serves a necessary function
Good.
in helping us navigate the world and protect ourselves.
Mhm.
The key, he argues, is to cultivate a healthy ego,
Okay.
one that's balanced, compassionate, and aligned with our soul's purpose.
So it's about finding that sweet spot between self-preservation and selflessness.
Yes.
Right, where we're assertive and confident in our own right,
Yeah.
but also respectful and considerate of others.
He uses that great analogy of the doormat versus the tyrant.
I love that analogy. It's so vivid and relatable. He's saying that if we're constantly suppressing our own needs and desires,
Right.
we become a doormat for others to
Yeah.
walk all over.
But if we're only focused on our own self-interest, we become a tyrant,
Yeah.
dominating and exploiting those around us.
So it's about finding that middle ground
He is.
where we're standing up for ourselves, but also considering the needs of others.
And that balance, he argues, is essential for fulfilling our soul contract
Okay.
and contributing to a more harmonious and just world.
It's a beautiful concept, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That our individual growth is intricately linked to the collective well-being of humanity.
It's a powerful message of hope and empowerment, but how do we actually put this into practice? How do we start exploring our own kit and aligning our lives with our soul's purpose? That's what we'll delve into in the final part of our deep dive.
Okay, I can't wait. So stay tuned because Kenan offers some really insightful guidance and practical tools to help us navigate this journey of self-discovery and spiritual growth.
Okay, so we've talked about the ikit, this spiritual contract, and how our early childhood experiences can shape our subconscious programming. But how do we actually start uncovering our soul's purpose and aligning our lives with this ikit?
Right. It's one thing to understand these concepts, but how do we actually put them into practice?
Well, Kenan offers a really practical suggestion. He calls it tutku meditasyonu.
Tutku meditasyonu.
Yeah, it basically means passion meditation. It involves setting aside dedicated time each day for quiet reflection and introspection.
Sounds simple enough, but I imagine it takes discipline to make that a consistent habit.
It does. He acknowledges that it's not always easy, especially in our busy modern lives.
Right.
But he stresses that even a few minutes a day can make a big difference.
Okay.
The key is to make it a priority, just like we prioritize brushing our teeth or checking our email.
So we're carving out some time for quiet reflection, but what are we supposed to be reflecting on during this tutku meditasyonu?
He encourages us to start by asking ourselves some fundamental questions. Who am I? What is my purpose? What are my deepest passions and values? He suggests writing down our thoughts and insights in a journal, creating a kind of soul map.
A soul map. I love that. It's like we're cartographers of our own inner landscape, exploring the uncharted territories of our hearts and minds.
Exactly. And as we explore that landscape, he encourages us to be open to signs and synchronicities.
Signs and synchronicities.
Yeah, those seemingly random events that might actually be messages from the universe.
Okay, I'm intrigued. So how do these signs and synchronicities help us uncover our akit?
Well, Kenan explains that our soul often communicates with us through symbols, dreams, and intuitive nudges.
Okay.
He encourages us to pay attention to recurring themes or patterns,
Hmm.
those things that keep popping up in our lives even if we don't consciously understand why.
It's like those times when you keep running into the same person, where you keep seeing the same number sequence.
Exactly. Maybe there's a message there trying to get our attention.
That's interesting. And he even suggests that the challenges we face, the obstacles that seem to block our path, might actually be part of our kit,
It's true.
designed to teach us specific lessons or push us toward our true purpose.
So it's about shifting our perspective,
Right.
seeing those challenges not as punishments or setbacks, but as opportunities for growth and learning.
That's a really empowering way to look at it. It's like those obstacles are actually signposts pointing us in the right direction.
He also emphasizes that we're not alone in this journey.
We're not.
No, we have spiritual guides and mentors, both in the physical and non-physical realms, who are there to support us.
He gets pretty mystical here, talking about connecting with angels, ascended masters, even extraterrestrial beings who are part of a galactic Medenia Lerberli, a kind of cosmic council that's watching over humanity.
He does push the boundaries of what we typically consider reality in the West.
He does.
But it's important to remember that these concepts are rooted in ancient spiritual traditions that have been around for centuries.
Right. And whether or not you believe in angels or extraterrestrials, the underlying message is that there's a larger intelligence at work, a cosmic order that's guiding our evolution.
And he even suggests that these higher beings are communicating with us through movies, books, and music.
Really? Yeah, planting seeds of awakening in our collective consciousness. So those science fiction movies we love might be more than just entertainment.
They might be.
They could be subtly preparing us for a future where humanity embraces a more expanded view of reality.
It's definitely an interesting thought to consider.
It is. As we've been talking about all of this, I've been thinking about how much of what Kenan's saying aligns with the principles of mindfulness and self-awareness that are becoming so popular these days.
Absolutely. His emphasis on self-reflection,
Yeah.
on cultivating a healthy ego, on being present and aware of our thoughts, emotions, and actions.
Yeah.
These are all key tenets of mindfulness practices.
And his discussion of the akit, the soul contract.
Right.
It's essentially about aligning our lives with our deepest purpose and values.
It is.
That's a message that resonates with a lot of people who are seeking more meaning and fulfillment in their lives.
He's essentially offering a blueprint for a more conscious and intentional way of living.
Yeah.
Where we're not just reacting to circumstances, but actively shaping our lives in alignment with our soul's purpose.
So if someone's feeling stuck or lost, where do they even begin?
Kenan reminds us of the importance of cultivating edep, adab, akhlaq, good manners, etiquette, and moral conduct as a foundation for spiritual growth. He stresses the importance of self-reflection using the analogy of the aina, the mirror, to encourage us to be honest with ourselves about who we are, both the light and the shadow.
And he talks about finding balance between our Somali and Salali aspects, our good and challenging sides, recognizing that true strength comes from integrating all parts of ourselves.
He also encourages us to connect with our spiritual guides, those beings who are here to support us on our journey, whether they're in the physical realm or beyond. It's about recognizing that we're not alone on this path.
And it's about remembering that we have the power to create the life we desire.
It's about aligning our actions with our soul's purpose and trusting that the universe will support us every step of the way.
It's about embracing the journey with all its twists and turns and knowing that ultimately we're all heading towards the same destination.
A place of love, connection, and wholeness.
What a beautiful way to sum it up.
Yeah.
It's been a truly mind-expanding deep dive into Kenan Kolday's Ruhun Cosmic Yolkulusu.
It really has. And I hope our listeners are feeling inspired to embark on their own journey of self-discovery and spiritual exploration.
Me too. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring.